They weren't just pixels on horseback. These cavalry units actually existed, and they shattered armies in real life. Today, we're cutting through the fantasy and highlighting the real cavalry of the Three Kingdoms era, the ones the game gets surprisingly right. Total War Three Kingdoms is filled with shock cavalry, raiders, and elite horse archers. But how many of those units are historically legit? In this video, we focus on the 6 cavalry types that actually existed, or come very close, and break down how the game portrays them versus the real thing. First up, the Tiger and Leopard Cavalry, Cao Cao's shock troops. Not just a cool name, these were real. They were personally led by Cao Chun and formed from the most experienced men in Cao Cao's army. These weren't peasants with spears. Records say every member had led 100 men before. This was a cavalry unit of veteran leaders. In 207 CE, they crushed the Wuhuan tribes at White Wolf Mountain and captured their chieftain. That's not fiction, that's history. In-game, they're exactly what they should be. Elite shock cavalry with solid armor and morale. And when upgraded to heavy Tiger and Leopard cavalry, they match the idea of a late-game top-tier unit. Verdict? 100% historically accurate. Great job, creative assembly. Next, we've got the White Horse Volunteers, real cavalry raised by Gongsun in the north. These weren't just themed units. He literally outfitted his cavalry with white horses to stand out. They were fast, aggressive horse archers, trained to strike quickly and pull back before enemies could counter. At the Battle of Zhiqiao in 191 CE, Gongsun unleashed them against Yuan Shao. They looked flashy, but Yuan's general Ku Yi countered with disciplined crossbows and cut them down. In the game, these units have high speed, great range, and solid melee stats. Spot on. They're one of the few units in the game where the name, function, and feel all come straight from historical records. Verdict? Historically accurate and mechanically faithful. Now let's talk Xiliang cavalry, the reason nobody wanted to fight Zhuo. Xiliang is a region in the far northwest of China, near the Tibetan plateau, and it bred some of the fiercest horsemen of the time, many of them tribal warriors, including the Qiang and Hu. Zhuo rose to power using these men. These were tough, ruthless lancers who'd been fighting on horseback long before the Central Plains descended into chaos. Their reputation wasn't for finesse, it was for smashing enemies with brute force. Verdict? Historically spot on. These guys were the battering ram of early Three Kingdoms warfare. While we're still in the northwest, let's give the Qiang raiders their moment. The Qiang were tribal horsemen, fast, unpredictable, and fierce. They're often remembered for hit-and-run attacks, ambush tactics, and their deep familiarity with rough terrain. In the game, they fight with swords, and that actually holds up. While records don't give us a specific list of Qiang cavalry weapons, it's very likely they used swords alongside spears and bows. As tribal horsemen, flexibility was survival, and a sword was essential once things got up close. Creative Assembly may have chosen swords for gameplay balance, but it still captures the chaotic, mobile nature of real Qiang cavalry. Verdict? Still historically grounded, and a solid fit for their battlefield role. Next, mounted archers. The game has various types of mounted archers. It was standard practice for northern warlords. Everyone from Yuan Shao to Ma Chao had riders who could fire on the move. The records mention armies relying heavily on bow-equipped cavalry to soften up enemy lines or chase down retreating enemies. The game gives you basic and heavy mounted archers, and they're a critical part of any northern warlord strategy. Composite bows, quick repositioning, and harassment tactics, all historically accurate. Verdict? A simple unit, but spot on. History meets function. Last, but absolutely not least, the Imperial Guard Cavalry. You may have seen names like Imperial Lancer Cavalry or Imperial Household Cavalry in-game. These units echo the real feathered forest, Yulin, and rapid as tigers, Huban, the Emperor's personal cavalry guard. They were stationed in Luoyang and trained to the highest standards. When Zhuo took the capital, he either absorbed or crushed them. Later, Cao Cao restructured these units under his command. In the game, they're disciplined, heavily armed, and terrifying in a straight fight. Historically, they were the elite of the elite. Verdict, rooted in fact. The naming's modernized, but the essence is real. So what's the verdict? Total War Three Kingdoms actually gets a lot right when it comes to cavalry. While not every unit in the game is rooted in fact, these 6 are grounded in history, with real names, real tactics, and real battlefield impact. Cao Cao's shock elites, Gongsun Zan's white horse archers, Dong Zhuo's brutal Xiliang lancers. Each one tells a story straight from the records of the three kingdoms. So the next time someone tells you it's just a game, remember, these units didn't just ride into battle. They reshaped Chinese history. Like this kind of deep dive into history and gaming? Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which units you want to talk about next. Until next time, ride fast, strike hard, and don't forget your sources.